What do you think about Bernie's speech in Congress? I haven't seen it. Do you want to link it to me? This is Bernie's speech. Bernard Sanders. Oligarchy, authoritarianism, and kleptocracy in America. This is 8 hours ago. Shit, let's watch it, bro. Bernard Sanders. Tell me what you think about oligarchy and kleptocracy in America. It does feel relevant as we talk about billionaires divvying up sports for their larger casino goals.
The Trump administration is moving this country very aggressively into an authoritarian society where the rule of law and our Constitution are being ignored and undermined in order to give more power to the White House and the billionaires who now control our government.
The big example, maybe he talks about this, but the big example is Elon, who just wasn't elected. You know, like, I'm no fan of Elon. Mostly for his stupid business decisions. I don't like how he runs Tesla. I don't like how he fucking wasted $44 billion on Twitter. I think he's just dumb. No fan of Elon for that reason. But he can do what he wants on his own. But he's not an elected official. And he's even Trump's word. I mean, Trump had a speech, not a speech. He was asked the question on it today, and he said, Elon can only give suggestions, and whether or not we keep them is up to us. Some will do, some we won't. This is Trump's exact words. But Elon is doing things unilaterally. He's cutting funding for things. The idea was he would be able to write a suggestion that something that should be cut. He's just cutting it. He's locking people out of their offices. He's like, he has no right to do any of this. If Congress approved the funding for something, Elon can't say, no, we were cutting it. The president can't even say that. I mean, but at least the president could like write an executive order and let them get into a legal battle over it. But Elon definitely can't do it. It's crazy. I mean, it's not in the norms for 200 plus years of American history for an unelected, not even born in America citizen to be trampling all over constitutional norms and changing rules. And again, you know, Doge is, it has no authority to do the things he's doing, but they're just kind of like, I don't know, blitzing it. They're just like doing it. And they're going so fast. And again, the fucking U.S. Democratic Party is in absolute shambles. It's, you know, it's a joke. And they have no ability to mount any sort of defense. There's no like counterbalancing effort. So I don't know. We'll see. Let's watch the speech.
The Trump administration is moving this country very rapidly toward a kleptocracy, where the function of government is not to serve the needs of ordinary people, but to enrich those who are in power. Mr. President, I think that today is a very good day.
Sorry, someone said, finally catching my first stream. It's crazy. It's like one huge Big A clip. Your brain is so cooked. What do you think a clip is up front? What do you think it's called a clip? What are you fucking talking about? How does your brain come to that conclusion? Year of kindness? No, you're right. That was actually a really wise point. I never thought of it like that. I guess my stream is really like one huge clip. Yeah. You know what I did is I based my stream on Big A clips. I saw those clips and I said, what if I did that but longer? That was my plan. I was like, what if I take that, those seem to be working, and I do that longer, and then I'll have a whole new genius. Anyway, Big A longs, we call it.
To recall what one of our great presidents said at Gettysburg in November of 18...
Bro, everybody quotes Lincoln. Boo. Quote FDR. Quote somebody with some swag. Quote Teddy, dude. Carry a big stick. Quote Bush. Watch this drive. It'd be so dope if Bernie said it. To quote one of our greatest presidents, now watch this drive. And then he hits a fucking golf ball right into fucking, I don't know, fucking JD Vance's face or whatever. That would have been fucking sick. I was going to say Trump, but Trump's not in this room.
1963. Looking out at a battlefield where thousands of Union soldiers had just sacrificed their lives in the defense of freedom and the ending of slavery, Abraham Lincoln famously stated, and I quote, "The world will no longer remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did, the soldiers did here. It is for us, the living, rather to be dedicated."
Bernie looks like he was there when this was said. I like Bernie. And the reason I like Bernie Sanders, not because I agree with every single policy position of his, but because he has been consistent for decades. Consistent with his actions, with his voice, with his messaging. It's so rare in a politician that even if I disagree with him on some things, I respect it. I respect it so deeply because what bothers me so deeply about the time we live in, the 2025s, the 2020, the post-COVID, is that nobody is held to their words from even a day ago. Nobody's held to their word. No, people's opinions and attitudes and alliances, and they shift at all times. They say they won't do something, and then they'll do it anyway. They say they won't work with this guy, they work with him. There's no, I'm not saying no one can ever change their mind, but it needs to be with rationale and it just seems like people change with the wind. There's no consequences for lying on something you previously said. It's really an era of absolutely zero consequence. So that's why I admire Bernie Sanders, because you can find speeches of him from like 1998, from earlier. You can find some old ass speeches of Bernie Sanders where he's saying the exact same thing. And that's rare. It's just a rare thing. That's why I give him the benefit of the doubt on most things and why I like to hear him speak. However, the second thing I want to say is, someone made a joke about his age. He looks like he was there when this fucking speech was given, when Lincoln's speech was given. It's unfortunate that we have so many politicians who are so old. It seems wild. There's not somebody similar to this who's 40, 30, even maybe 20 years younger. Do you know what I'm saying? In the age of where most Americans are. If that's only if he's right, not to change their mind based on new evidence. It's only if he's right. People are obviously allowed to change their mind based on new evidence. 100%. I don't disagree with that. That's not what's happening. And we're all aware that's not what's happening. Okay? People are just saying what's convenient for them at the time and then shifting with the wind. It's not that evidence changed, it's that their circumstances changed of what will benefit the most. So I find that to be the distasteful part, especially with politicians, because the idea with a politician is that you're not electing someone who's going to try and maximize their personal benefit. You're electing someone who promises a certain ideals. They stand for something. And then you put them in the office to continue to stand for that thing, not to shift, because, you know what I'm saying? That's why it's unfortunate. That's why I find it distasteful. He has more hair than me. It's close. I'll say me and Bernie are in a close hair off. But we both have more hair than Aiden, so it's no problem.
Here to the unfinished work, which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great...
Isn't Lena Khan somewhat similar to what you're saying? Yes. That's why I hope Lena Khan runs for office somewhere. It would be my greatest disappointment. It would make me so sad if Lena Khan goes to work for Google or something. That's like what every other FTC chair would do. They'd leave office after stopping monopolies, and then they would go work with a monopoly to help them stop getting investigated. I hope she doesn't do it, man. I hope she like runs for something. She's been I mean, she's young, but she's been incredibly consistent on her beliefs and what she's worked for and her actions. Oh, also, second thing is, it's also really nice when a politician's voting record matches their words. Because that's another problem that we have so much in this country is where people just say shit and obviously no one checks. No one checks. Literally no one checks. And so anyone can say whatever they want, whatever sounds popular, but then when they're actually in that room and they have to make a choice that could impact legislation, they do something different and that's frustrating too. It just makes it so impossible to find out what you're getting, because even what someone runs on might not be what you get. So yeah.
Task remaining before us, the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead, we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain. And this is how he concluded: that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Government of the people, by the people, for the people.
Damn, Bernie is even more pissed than I am about the Luka trade. And I respect that. You can tell he is fucking furious that, like, these billionaires are fucking messing with the game like this. And I think that's admirable. I thought I was mad about it, but I guess I'm a Lakers fan, so I'm okay. But he clearly
shall not perish from the earth. Mr. President, I fear very much that under President Trump, we are not seeing a government of the people, by the people, for the people, but rather a government of the billionaire class, by the billionaire class, and for the billionaire class. And what is really...
One thing I'll disagree with is I don't think... Here's what I'll say. I think an inconvenient truth, even though I'm on Bernie's side, I think an inconvenient truth that people aren't saying enough is that Trump won the popular vote. He won the election, which means if he does things he said he was going to do, that is not for the people. That people may not know the outcomes of these things, but he won the election. He has a right to do these. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's how democracy works. It's not authoritarian to do them. The problem I have with it is when somebody like Elon Musk, who is unelected, who was not the winner of the popular vote, can come in and run roughshod over, 200 years of constitutional law and do things that he was not given the authority to do. Even by Trump, he wasn't given the authority to do. But that's just illegal. There's no power in that. That is an oligarchy. That is a kleptocracy. That is his only power is that he threw a bunch of money at helping Trump get into office. People didn't choose him for that. They didn't give that to him. Those laws are for a reason. And, there's checks and balances for a reason. Again, I will say this, that it's up in the air. It's up to interpretation, where the exact line is drawn between the executive branch, which Trump heads, or Congress, or judiciary. And by the way, Republicans won all three, okay? They got all three. So they should be able to do things, within the normal law. They should be able to do things the normal way, but they're not doing it that way. They're doing it with the executive writing executive orders and Elon Musk with no authority at all, just running roughshod over everything. And that's odd. That's out of character. That's fucked up. So that's where I, am on it, where it's like, at the end of the day, if people feel very strongly that we need to, deport immigrants, I don't agree with that. But if they feel very strongly and they vote a president to do that, and they do that, I can voice my opposition to it, but it's not oligarchy to do it. That's just democracy. People want something and do you understand? It's legal. I think it's fine. But when you do things that are outside of the scope of that, when you try to end birthright citizenship when that's in the Constitution, when you, again, have Elon Musk do things he has no authority to do, when you write executive orders that cover things that you shouldn't have authority over, that's the areas where I get this is fucked. It's not, you can't do that. We've had hundreds of years of a system that has largely worked to keep stability. That's where I stand. So,
interesting is that none of this is happening behind closed doors. It's not being done in secret. It's right out there for everybody to see. Several weeks ago, Donald Trump was inaugurated for a second term as president. Standing right behind him were the three richest men in America, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg.
Terrible blood rotation.
Combined, these three men are worth $920 billion. These three men own more wealth than the bottom half of American society, 170 million people. Three guys, 170 million people. And I should point out,
they earned it.
And this should tell you exactly where we are going as a nation. These three men, wealthiest three in America, have become some $232 billion richer since Trump was elected a few weeks ago. Three guys, $232 billion richer since Trump was elected. Mr. President, this is how an oligarchic system works. Elon Musk, the wealthiest person in the world and now a key part of the Trump administration, spent over $277 million to get Trump elected. In other words, within a corrupt campaign finance system, which allows billionaires to spend as much as they want, he helped buy the election for Mr. Trump. Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg, the second and third wealthiest people in our country, both kicked $1 million
in the world, I
each
think,
into Trump's inauguration fund. And let us remember that Mr. Bezos, who among other things owns the Washington Post, rescinded the endorsement of that paper for Kamala Harris just before the election. Mr. Bezos was showing early on that he was willing to bend the knee for Donald Trump. Mark Zuckerberg, the founder and CEO of Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, agreed to settle a lawsuit with Trump for $25 million. These three multi-billionaires are working with Trump for one very simple reason.
Please don't be money.
They understand
Please don't be money.
that Trump's policies are designed to make the very wealthiest people in this country even richer. Since Trump's election, Mr.
money.
Musk has become $154 billion richer. Not bad in a couple of weeks' time. He earned a great investment. He only spent a couple of $100 million on the election, and now he's 100.
Yeah, but that's only like 89 cents per tweet that he writes. You know what I'm saying? Like, he earned that money. He had to tweet his way there. So I feel like Bernie's not respecting game. Bro, put in the hours. Yeah,
billion
exactly.
richer. Mr. Bezos has become $35 billion richer, and Mr. Zuckerberg has become $43 billion richer. Mr. President, I am concerned not only about the growing movement toward oligarchy in this country, but I am deeply worried that under the leadership of President Trump, we are moving rapidly towards authoritarianism. And all over this country, people are alarmed and shocked by what they have seen in the last several weeks. Just a few examples, just a few. Last week, President Trump attempted to suspend all federal grants and loans in direct violation of the U.S. Constitution and federal law. As every third grader in America knows, or I hope knows, the power of the purse in the United States belongs to Congress, not the president. Yes, the president can recommend legislation to Congress. The president can veto legislation that Congress has passed. But he does not have the power to unilaterally terminate funding and legislation that has been passed by the U.S. Congress.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big point. Like, Congress votes on it. That's the whole point. We have congressional representatives. By the way, Congress is Republican. Like, he should be able to work a deal to get what he wants through. You can't just skip the step where the representatives vote on it. And if they've already passed it, you can't just say, nah.
That is a dangerous and blatantly unconstitutional act. And I should add that Trump's blocking of federal funding would have had a horrific impact on millions of Americans who utilize programs like Medicaid, Head Start, community health centers, Meals on Wheels, homeless veterans programs, and many, many other initiatives. Tens of millions of Americans, including some of the most vulnerable in our country, were impacted by that decision. But that's not all.
Okay.
A few days ago, Trump fired 17 inspectors general, independent government watchdogs that were created by Congress in the wake of the Watergate scandal to prevent the abuse of power by the executive branch. Last week, President Trump fired a member of the National Labor Relations Board, and in so doing, effectively neutered the only federal agency in America with the authority to hold corporations accountable for illegal union busting and to protect the constitutional right of millions of workers who want to join unions in order to earn better wages, working conditions, and benefits. Not only is that move blatantly illegal, it is exactly what Elon Musk, the owner of Tesla, and Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon, have been fighting for months. They don't like unions. And what Mr. Trump has given them is the opportunity.
Bernie Sanders, I trust you on plenty of things. But if you're telling me that Jeff Bezos doesn't like unions, you're smoking crack. He fucking loves unions, bro. They're his employees. He loves them. It allows him to make better deals. Who needs a union when you're a family? I guess that's true, too. Did Bernie ever consider the fact that maybe they want to fight unions because unions stop workers from having a good time? That unions stop workers from being part of the corporate family? You ever think about that? Unions create a two-tier system where some employees are fighting for rights and others just simply just do their job, you know? Bronny made his first NBA three. Bernie, get off the screen! Let me watch the rest of this.
To make it much, much harder for workers to organize in their companies. President Trump also illegally fired members of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the only independent commission in our country that protects workers against discrimination in the workforce. Further, and what should upset every American, no matter whether you're conservative, moderate, progressive, is that in direct violation of the Constitution and federal law, Trump is intimidating the media with lawsuits against ABC, CBS, Meta, and the Des Moines Register. His FCC is now threatening to investigate PBS.
I'm not intimidated, Bernie Sanders. I put out at least 3 Big A clips where I made fun of Donald Trump. Come at me, all right? I'm unintimidated. You can't stop me. You're gone. Streamers are next. New media, baby.
And PR. What Trump is essentially saying to every media outlet in America.
You are not mainstream media, Lil Lunk. I'll tell you one thing. My stream's not big enough to be either stream media other than a stream. But I'll tell you one thing. The mainstream media is not NBC. It's not CNN. It's not even Fox. It's fucking podcasts. It's fucking... The mainstream media is Joe Rogan, TikTok, Aiden Ross, Asmongold. That's the mainstream media. I'm not even kidding. It is bigger. Significantly bigger. Significantly more viewers. Significantly more impact. Significantly more people get their news than it is... it's Talk Tua. Yeah, it's social media. It's just not, it is not those, people still complain about, oh, the fucking mainstream media. Like, who cares, dude? These people have no reach or authority or power anymore. Raid song? Is this a bit? No, it's not a bit. The numbers, look at the numbers, dude. They don't have viewership. It's just not. Fox News sets the take for old white people in America. Fox News is still the biggest of the dying legacy media brands, but Fox News does not set the take as much as Joe Rogan does. Joe Rogan and a bunch of other, like, those people still have more influence. He gets more millions of viewers per episode than even Tucker Carlson after leaving Fox has a bigger reach. Tucker's bigger than Fox, yeah.
If you say or do anything that is critical of me, that displeases me, you may be subject to a lawsuit or a federal investigation. If that is not a direct attack on the First Amendment, on the U.S. Constitution and free speech in our country, I don't know what is. But that is not all. Elon Musk and his unelected minions at Doge have forced out officials at the Treasury Department.
Bernie said Doge, buy Doge, buy Doge, buy Doge. Bernie and Elon both support Dogecoin, confirmed. It's mooning. It's a buy signal, folks. This is your chance to get in before it hits the fucking moon and get life-changing money.
And illegally shut down USAID, a program which, among other things, helps feed and provide medical help to starving and desperate children all over the world. Presidents, much less unelected billionaires, do not have the unilateral right to shut down federal agencies established by Congress. And when we talk about the very dangerous movement towards authoritarianism that we are seeing in this country now, let us not forget Trump's pardoning of the January 6th insurrectionists who injured 174 police officers.
Sorry, Bernie, but free squeaks.
Right outside this floor. Even worse, not only did he pardon those people, but Trump is undermining the FBI by actually investigating the agents there who helped bring these violent criminals to justice. Imagine that. Pardoning the people who broke the law and investigating the people who upheld the law. That is not what America is supposed to be about. And Mr. President, under Trump, we are rapidly moving toward a kleptocracy as well. Just before the president was inaugurated, he and his wife launched their own cryptocurrency coins, giving them the potential to earn many billions of dollars. If Wall Street CEOs tried to bribe the president with a bag full of money, that would be illegal. That's against the law.
Sure.
But now they don't have to do that. Today, if a multi-billionaire, the head of a foreign country, wants to curry favor with the president, all they have to do is buy his cryptocurrency coins, and when they do that, they are directly enriching Mr. Trump. So, Mr. President, the question that millions of Americans are asking.
Dude, I truly hate the coin. I know to some people it's not a big deal. There's just no excusing it. I hate the coin. I hate the Melania coin. I hate it. I think it's so I don't know. It's so nakedly self-serving. Not even like the veneer of like helping anyone else. I just don't like it. It just rubs me the wrong way, like on a deep level. I think it's bad. I think it's just bad. You know, it's funny. It's not like I think 100% Bernie's right. It can be used for corruption. It's very easy to be used for corruption. There's no way to investigate or trace it or anything. But even on its own, it's just fleecing a lot of people using the office of the presidency. It like degrades the office of the presidency. I don't like it. And again, there's no possible way for there not to be a bunch of losers. This, with the way the coin works, with the way it is officially designated as a meme, so it's not used for, it's never going to have utility. It has no goal. It is only designed to rob people. That is the only thing it can do. It makes me sad, not just because Trump did it or the president did it. It makes me sad for our society. It's like, this should have been laughed off. Like, this should have been like, what the we just rolled with it. I hate that. It's like a bad sign because there's no upside to anyone but him. So I don't like it.
Is given the move toward oligarchy, given the move toward authoritarianism, given the movement toward kleptocracy, where do we go from here? What should we as Americans be doing? And let me tell you what I think and what most Americans think. And that is, instead of moving toward an economy which is designed to benefit the very richest people in our country, we have got to create an economy and a government that works for all of us, not just for Mr. Musk or Mr. Bezos or Mr. Zuckerberg. Mr. President, at a time of massive wealth and income inequality, we have never had more income and wealth inequality than we have had right now. It is beyond stupidity to provide more tax breaks to the very richest people in our country and then to pay for those tax breaks by cutting back on Medicaid and other programs desperately needed by working families all across this country.
Don't even cut them. Just print the difference. Just steal the money from everyone's wallet through inflation. Just fucking print it. Just borrow and print and increase the debt. We'll do both. We'll do everything for everybody.
That is what we should not be doing. But let me take a moment to tell you what we should be doing. At a time when 85 million Americans are uninsured or underinsured in our broken healthcare system, we have got to do what every other major country on earth does, and that is guarantee health care to all people as a human right, not a privilege. That's what we've got to do. At a time when 1 out of 4 Americans cannot afford the outrageously high prices that the pharmaceutical industry charges, we have got to end the absurdity of the American people paying by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. We have got to cut the cost of medicine in this country in half, making it comparable with what the rest of the world is paying. Mr. President, the federal minimum wage today is $7.25 an hour. That is a starvation wage. Well, 60% of our people, 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. We must raise that minimum wage to a living wage, at least $17 an hour. If you work 40 hours a week in the richest country on earth, you should not be living in poverty. Mr. Musk and Mr. Bezos want to make it harder for workers to join unions. Well, we have got to do exactly the opposite, make it easier for workers to join unions by passing the PRO Act. At a time when we need the best educated workforce in the world, we need to have the best public schools in the world. And among other things, that means we need to substantially raise teachers' salary. We need to attract the best and the brightest young.
Hey, someone in the chat said this loser takes millions from pharma. I just want to bring that up because I saw a comment of that, and so I looked into it. I wanted to see, it's like a talking point. I don't know, we'll look into it. So I checked, and it's not true. It's not true. Not only is his voting record like actively against big pharma, like he's spoken against it many times and voted against it, but like what it is whenever you donate to a political candidate, like if I donated $20 to Bernie Sanders, I have to put my industry on there. So at the time I would have put semiconductors or marketing if I worked at NVIDIA, whatever. If you get a lot of people to do that, it'll say $1 million from semiconductors, but it's all from $200 or less donations from regular people. So it was just a bunch of like nurses. It was like people that worked in the healthcare industry all giving him individual donations that added up to, I think, 1.28 million or something. But there was a low individual average. And then, but it adds up to, so it's like 1.2 million from healthcare industry, but it wasn't. Anyway, I think it's a very misleading statement. And you can check his voting record. Like if he was like saying this stuff and then he was actually voting for helping big pharma, it would be like, all right, well, maybe he's got to stick, but he doesn't do that. So I think it's a pretty disingenuous thing. If you want to hit him on something, look at his hairline. Like if you want to make fun of Bernie, he's got a target right here, but hitting him for his fucking, for this fake lie that he's like in the pocket of big pharma is like totally made up. It's like super mudslinging. Again, a politician can take money from big pharma, say, nah, I didn't, and be fine. We have no consequences in this society. So Bernie has actually lost a lot of money by not doing that, by not taking over $200 donations for a long time. Like he's sacrificed. And to do all that and then be told that you're not doing that is very frustrating because that means even someone who like does the hard work of like going without the extra political money can just be smeared with that brush. It's fucked up. I think it's fucked up. I think it's not a cool thing that you said, brother.
People into education, and we do that, among other things, by making sure that no teacher in America earns less than $60,000 a year. We also radically reform our broken child care system so the little kids in this country get the quality care they need and the workers there are adequately compensated. Mr. President, all over this country, from Vermont to LA, we have a major housing crisis. And it's not just the 800,000 Americans who are homeless. It's millions of working families who are spending 40, 50, or 60% of their limited incomes on housing. Instead of spending almost $1 trillion a year on a wasteful and bloated Pentagon budget, we have got to build millions of units of low-income and affordable housing. And when we do that, we put large numbers of American workers to work at good-paying union jobs. Mr. President, I have heard time and again from Mr. Trump's supporters that the president won the election and he has been given this huge mandate, just an overwhelming mandate to do whatever he wants. Well, no president has the right to move us to oligarchy, authoritarianism, or kleptocracy. But more important, let us not forget that while Trump did win this election, he actually received 4 million votes fewer votes than Biden did in 2020 when Biden won the election. So here we are.
Caught. I stuffed 4 million votes for Biden in 2020, though. So that's like, do I admit that now or do I let that? I went to the ballot. I wrote it 4 million times and I thought it'd be funny. I thought he would only get those 4 million votes. I thought no one else was going to vote for Biden, so it would be like a joke. But then he ended up winning, so it was, I don't know. There was a whole bunch of drama about it. It was a good bit, though.
Where do we go? What do we do? I think now is the time for the American people to come together, to not allow those who want to divide us up by the color of our skin or our sexual orientation or where we were born. That's what they want to do. They want to divide us up. Now is the time for us to come together like never before and make certain we do not move toward oligarchy, make certain we do not move toward authoritarianism or a kleptocracy. And most importantly, in the richest country in the history of the world, we must understand that we have the capability of providing a decent life for all of our people. We can do that.
That's a good platform, but where does he stand on DEI chins in video games? Is he against them? Because if so, I'll support you, Bernie. I definitely want lower cost housing. I want healthcare. I want people to have unions and have a livable wage. But there better not be fucking I basically don't want any women in my video games, but if they're in there, they better have like double D's and it better be extremely sexual. That's the only way it'll be fair in a video game. Why does he support? That's an insane clip. Yeah, put that on Clip Channel. No irony. I think every character should look like Kratos.
When we stand together.
Nothing straighter than that, by the way. I want every character to be a hot dude. That's how you know the game is good. If the main character is a hot, chatted dude. That's what I want.
and we don't let folks divide us up. And with that, Mr. President, I would yield the floor.
Good speech, Bernie. It's funny. He tweaked some of that to this unique situation, but he's been so consistent. He said that for a very long time. I appreciate Bernie saying what needs to be said, but it feels so hollow. Even if people band together, then what? It's because people don't care about the vast majority think. Even they're more brazen than about it. I am less doomer about this than some people, and I'll explain to you why. But I do think people don't react on any of this stuff until they feel the consequences. So until he does something that fucks up the stock market or loses people their jobs, or we enter a recession, or until there's a consequence, it's all just talk. Nobody cares. Everyone, it's all a TV show. It's a game show to people. So there has to be something that happens. And then I think people's attitudes change. I mean, this is not like Trump's the first person in history to, America's had a lot of different leaders, and we've had a lot of different times, and people that they thought they had a mandate end up not having it. So I would urge you to hold judgment on all of the people of the earth until some of the consequences come in, and then make your case. And then I think people will be more receptive to it.